A young woman who lost her sight finds a guide and a Chinese boy named Qin. Together, they track down a dangerous killer through the darkness of Italy. I watched Dark Glasses.
They will say that I have shed innocent blood. What's blood for, if not for shedding?
I'm your number one fan.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
God, it knows I'm here.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
You're listening to the Slasher Sports Show with Billy Graves.
I've always felt like Dario Argento was one of those directors who, just because he was a little bit different, folks would pretend to like and maybe even force themselves to watch, in hopes that they'd come out on the other end actually liking the film. Maybe it's just me. But thank you for tuning in to Slasher Sports Cinema. Before we get started, I want to ask three things. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications, because, that helps us bump up in the algorithm. We appreciate you for it. But yeah, Argento, he just seemed like he was in vogue at one point. I, for the life of me, just never got him. And believe me, I've seen almost all of his biggest successful films, and I stay firm on my opinion that the best thing Dario Argento ever produced was Asia Argento. Sue me. But I decided to give his most recent endeavor, Dark Glasses, an objective and unjudging of the past transgressions eye. It was, an easier decision knowing that Asia Argento's in the film too. I mean, who wouldn't make that call? Really, though, if I'm being, not silly, given the real reason I decided to watch, it was the cover art. I really like the cover art. It reminded me of Carpenter's They Live, a film that I just talked about with my friend Miles Tritle a couple episodes ago. And I know the film's nothing like They Live, but the sunglasses being pulled down from the eyes, I don't know. It gave like a classic movie cover art feel to me. Like I could walk into Captain Video today and find like one single box because, that's all that they're going to sell. But yeah, weird things can draw us to film sometimes. This one was based on a 2002 screenplay that Argento and Franco Ferrini had co-written. But they shelved it when the production company filed for bankruptcy. So this thing's been sitting on a shelf since I was 20. 20. God damn it. That is depressing. Yeah, but Dario, he's not going to waste any time on taglines and build up. It felt like this thing had very little marketing done before it dropped in February or March. I think at some point the streaming app Shudder made Dark Glasses its mystery movie and did a screening. I don't remember, but I think that's the case. I did mention it stars Asia Argento, right? Did I not say that? Fine. In case you need the reminder, though, Asia starred in Triple X with Vin Diesel. She's in Land of the Dead, Mother of Tears, and Dracula 3D from 2012, which is the last film Dario directed prior to Dark Glasses. So he's been on the shelf himself for a while. And it's the only time in all of Argento's films that Asia dies. And I believe that makes 6 collaborations between the father and daughter. So how's that for useless trivia? The leading lady in Dark Glasses is Elenia Pastorelli. Okay, she starred in a film I want you all to check out called Yo y Angela. Yo y Angela means me and Angela. It's a flick about a guy who's visited by the Grim Reaper herself. Yes, herself. You didn't think the harbinger of death was actually a man, did you? No. Comes in the form of a dark-haired, dark-eyed woman who's probably overreacting to something when she visited. But he's visited by death, and he makes a pact with her. She's got to help him get revenge on all who've wronged him, and he'll go quietly. There's always a but, though, right? Go and find it. Yo y Angela. Very good film. But back to Dark Glasses. I liked how in the cold open, everybody's fixated on the eclipse, because it's always said you'll go blind if you look at the eclipse for too long, right? And what happens later in an unrelated incident? Diana Pastorelli is blinded. So, a little foreshadowing. Gotta love it. But make no mistake, this film is a slasher. Within the first few minutes, a lady's throat slashed by a man hiding in the bushes. It's a gruesome scene. She's a prostitute, and that's important to know in a bit. But Argento uses some wonderful practical effects, and we're off and running. This is probably the first 10 minutes of the film. Expectations set, and might I mention, I love the opening theme. It reminded me a lot of the music from another slasher I love from the 80s called Blood Rage. But the murder of the girl had been done using a cello string, and that's why the killer has earned the nickname the Cellist. And seeing as we've jumped from a dead prostitute to a very live one, we're led to believe the cellist is targeting sex workers. Okay, so we now follow Diana from client to client, and this is done to put into perspective the volatility in the life of a sex worker. Diana goes from one who's playfully claiming he might fall in love if he's not careful, and it's a good relationship, to another who basically overstays his welcome and refers to Diana as a slut, to another guy who wants to fist her, and when she refuses, well, I mean, at least to her having to use the old trusty pepper spray. So yes, volatile. But Diana's night isn't done. She's leaving the scene of the pepper spray guy, and just as she's getting in her car, I'll be damned if she's not barely escaping the clutches of a guy who might be this cellist. So she speeds away with the attacker's van in pursuit, and Diana T-bones a Chinese family, their vehicle, leaving only the male child alive and rendering Diana completely blind, as she's told by her doctor upon regaining consciousness. What a way to open the film, though, right? Well, Argento does a good job of quickly setting the tone of Diana's new lifestyle. She has to learn to navigate the city without the ability to see. Her new seeing eye dog's going to help, but an unlikely companion is going to be the key to her survival. And that companion is the child who survived the crash that blinded Diana. His name is Chin. Chin relates to Diana more than we can really even understand. The same way Diana is othered by those who know her profession, the police, her own housekeeper. Chin is kind of othered by the other children. It's not explicit that it's due to his nationality. It could be, but it could be because he's standoffish and doesn't play well with others. Nonetheless, he's treated differently. Diana's treated differently. It's an organic friendship between a prostitute and an orphan. So, who had that on your movie bingo card? Might I say, we overlook people's bilingual, or I guess linguistic abilities. This kid, Chin, Chinese kid, speaks Italian like a native, and we forget that people don't just go around learning English. This kid's Italian was, you know what I'm saying? You know what that means? That's Italian for badass. Okay. Well, Dark Glasses takes you to a place of helplessness, desperation, with Deanna being at such a disadvantage compared to her stalker. At every turn, Deanna and Sheen find themselves like losing every bit of support they can gather, whether it be from the police or, they're searching for Sheen because he left a shelter, or the shelter they find to get the cellist off their trail, which was Sheen's old home. No spoilers here. But let me tell you, in the last, I'll say, quarter of the film, there's a scene that left me itching in my own bed. Okay, make no mistake, Dark Glasses is one of my top 3 Argento films, and Daddy, it ain't number 3. It ain't number 3. So let's look at the final slash lines. On the terror scale, I'm giving this one a 7. From the beginning, the stage is set. We know what to expect from the killer, but outside of the opening kill, it never really recaptures that level of terror. It does make up for it in other areas. Creativity, I want to give this one 8. It takes careful writing to make it believable for Deanna, a newly blinded person, to be able to navigate the world and stay out of harm's reach when harm is turning over every leaf and rock to find her. With suspense, I give it a 9, a freaking 9. Like, the suspense of Dark Glasses is completely palpable. It never takes a step backward, and you genuinely feel terrified for Deanna and Chin. It's especially that scene I just brought up, and I can't really spill anything, but it's fantastic. On average, this one's getting an 8. The caveat is that if you're not a subtitle person, you may not get the same enjoyment. It's spoken in Italian, and I don't really even know if Shudder has the dubbed version or even the capability. But if that's no issue, go into Dark Glasses with an open mind and prepare to be fully entertained. I can go to sleep at night knowing there's finally an Argento film I can stomach. And not only stomach it, I fucking loved it. Fucking loved it. But again, Dark Glasses is available on Shudder and on demand wherever you get your digital rentals. So make sure you go out and check Slasher Sports Cinema podcast on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Anchor, or on YouTube. I've got some great roundtable discussions on there with some good friends. Check out our other shows as well. Slasher U, college football or college sports podcast with Christian and Steve. The OK Baseball podcast with Sean and Christian, and Suki's Honeydew Project. She's talking to a lot of good people over there. So let's get out of here. And before the devil knows you're dead, may you drink the blood of your enemies from the skulls of their children.